Like, is the market going to change? Coming off of things like COVID, where sometimes you have supply chain disruptions and the rates are fluctuating a lot up and down. Do you want to go into it in a peak market state and do a long-term contract, or do you want to wait till the market settles? But it's so unpredictable sometimes, so you really want to be careful about how long of a contract you want to be in and think it through.
Exactly. And then that leads us into number 9, which is safety and compliance. So the question here is, are you going to prioritize customers who prioritize safety and compliance as well? I have a really good example for this one here, and it's, if you're dealing with a customer who is going to put one of our drivers into an unsafe work environment, put them in a situation that they feel unsafe, that might be something where you just say, no, you're putting our drivers at risk. If that's the type of, business relationship we're going to have, maybe it's not a good fit, because of course you have to value, safety over everything. But there could be situations where it's like a shipper just doesn't want you to wear, steel-toed boots. That's something you could potentially compromise on. If it's not a high hazardous area, that might not be an issue, having something like that.
And I was speaking to somebody just on the weekend, and he was telling me he's an electrical engineer. He's going out to different job sites in northern British Columbia. And he was telling me that, sometimes his employer is making him drive like 400 kilometers in a day from site to site. And, and they were really rushing him when he was going out and trying to do these projects, safety checks. And so when they are rushing him, he ended up driving back, and it was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and he had to follow one of their other service vehicles to get back down because there was no GPS. He didn't have GPS available to him in this northern site. And so he's sitting there, and he's in a Ford Explorer, and the service truck, which has all the supplies, is really weighed down and heavy. So they're going a little bit faster, and it's 5 o'clock and it's winter time, and the roads are starting to get icy. And so he starts driving behind him, and he's trying to catch up, and hits a patch of black ice, and he flipped his car 2 times. And lucky to be alive. And he's like, even the people that were in front of me didn't call me for 4 days to find out where it was. And he's like, luckily somebody stopped. But he's and the issue now is like, well, I'm really evaluating the employer that I'm working for, right? Because if they're going to push me where it's unsafe, and they're taking on these projects that are unsafe projects to take on just because they're trying to provide a cheaper price to be competitive, and they're trying to force them to do all these different projects, that's exactly what we're talking about here is how's that safety and compliance record for that company that I want to work with? How are they in treating their vendors? And same thing, you want to be careful when you're even working for a company like that. Your life is not worth it.